Tonight, we welcome George Orwell to the evening edition of The Late Show with Edward Lambert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
In 1945, you published your book Animal Farm. Can you tell us what your novel is about?
I wrote Animal Farm about the Russian Revolution. A small group of people had all the wealth and power, while the rest of the people were struggling. The Tsar government was overthrown, and a new government was started. Even with the good intentions of creating a fair and just society for all, power corrupts. The people, or animals in this case, were left off worse. In the beginning, there were rules for ensuring the happiness and equality of the animals. Two pigs, Snowball, who was Trotsky, and Napoleon, who was Stalin, emerged as leaders. Snowball wanted a prosperous country where everyone was treated fairly and equally. Napoleon was a manipulative, selfish pig who wanted all the wealth and power for himself. He trained his army of puppies to obediently and viciously protect him, and Napoleon was able to kick Snowball off the farm. Napoleon used propaganda, threats, and lies to keep the animals obedient to his authority, while he manipulates through speaking of the ideals of equality and hard work, while his own actions are very different. Napoleon initially has good intentions, but as he gains power, he becomes more corrupt, and by the end of the novel, the pigs were as evil and corrupt as the humans they had overthrown.
Fear is one of the best methods the pigs use to keep the animals obedient. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
The animals of Animal Farm use fear to keep one another in check. Fear is used throughout the story, and one of the first examples is when Old Major, who is Lenin, tells the animals that their purpose under Mr. Jones is to be used and then discarded. Also, once the pigs get the authority, fear is used by them through propaganda. Squealer used the fear of Mr. Jones, the old farmer who they overthrew, to end arguments about the pigs. Napoleon uses fear to put an end to any dissent. By his forced confessions and public executions, Napoleon uses fear as a way to keep his animals under control. Governments also use tools such as fear to gain and keep power and ensure that there will be no questioning of their policies and practices.
So in your story, the animals often sing the song Beasts of England. What is the importance of that song?
The importance of the song Beast of England is that it is the battle cry for the rebellion and also an anthem that keeps the animals spirited. Also, the Beast of England is important for the animals because in the beginning it is what unites them. Not only this, but it is a symbol of change for the animals. It says that bright shall shine the fields of England, pure shall its waters be, and sweeter yet shall blow breezes on the day that sets us free. While the animals sing the song, they are hoping to leave the dictatorship of Mr. Jones and into their own democracy where the animals rule the animals. But when Napoleon takes away the right to sing that song, it just shows that the animals are going back to where they started in a dictatorship.
Why did you use animals as the characters?
I used animals as the characters because I wanted to create a story that could be enjoyed by all ages. During World War II, it would not have been politically correct to use the people because to speak badly about the Soviet Union and to use animals as characters. I was able to show the actions, attitudes, and characteristics of the historical people I was portraying without actually identifying who they were.
Please tell us more about what the character Boxer represents.
Boxer is the strongest and hardest working animal on the farm. In the beginning of Animal Farm, Old Major warns Boxer that when he loses his strength and muscles, Jones will send you to the knacker who will cut your throat and boil you down for foxhounds. After Jones gets overthrown, Boxer feels the threat is gone. And so Boxer naively trusts the pigs and adopts the mottos, I will work harder and Napoleon is always right. Boxer represents the working class and shows his dedication, loyalty, and a huge capacity for labor. However, Boxer suffers from what I see as the working class's weakness, which is a naive trust in the good intentions of the highly intelligent animals, which happens to be the pig, and an inability to recognize even the most obvious forms of political corruption. When the pigs send Boxer to the glue factory, it just shows another example of the pig's betrayal.
Squealer is an interesting character. Can you tell us a little bit more about his role?
I have always explored how politicians manipulate language in an age of mass media. Squealer, who is smart with words, justified Napoleon's actions. Also, Squealer complicates language unnecessarily to confuse the uneducated. Squealer explains that the pigs are so-called brain workers of the farm and need to eat apples and milk not because of their pleasure, but because of the good of their comrades. Also, Squealer's lack of conscience and his complete loyalty to Napoleon with his speaking skills makes him the perfect ideal propagandist for any cruel, oppressive ruler.
What's the significance of the windmill?
The significance of the windmill is how it represented the spread of communism. Schumann's editorial team 2008. The windmill was Snowball's idea at first. Napoleon was so angry that he urinated on the plans and left the room. The animals were divided on whether to build it, and Napoleon kicked out Snowball off the farm and gave himself credit for the idea. The animals believed that they would benefit from the building of the windmill. The animals were hard-working, and the windmill was just another addition to their chores. The building of it was slow and laborious, but when the project was half done, a storm blew it over. Napoleon blamed Snowball for the collapse of the windmill so no one would blame him. He stated, in sheer malignity, thinking to set back our plans and avenge himself for his ignominious expulsion. This traitor has crept here under cover at night and destroyed our work of nearly a year. Comrades, here and now I pronounce a death sentence upon Napoleon. Both Snowball and Mr. Jones were easy targets to blame because they were not there at Animal Farm to defend themselves.
Although you died in 1950, if you were still alive, would you feel there are any similarities between Animal Farm and our modern American society?
As my book is about power corrupting, I do feel that there are similarities. Animal Farm is timeless and a metaphor for many societies, including modern America. Don't have to look any farther than our recent presidential election and our current administration. Hitler once said, make the lie big, make it simple, keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it. I believe both governments use lies and manipulations to justify their positions of power and self-serving policies. Animal Farm had Squealer with no morals who used propaganda to justify his leaders' deceptive and selfish actions. Your current administration uses alternative facts, lies which change more rapidly than what I wrote about in my book. In Animal Farm, as in modern America, others are blamed for everything that goes wrong. In Animal Farm, Snowball and humans are blamed for all their problems. One of their commandments is 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. In America, Mexican immigrants are called rapists and murderers, Muslims are terrorists, and women can be mistreated if the man holds enough power. In both societies, the rules don't apply if you're powerful enough. Although both societies begin with the premise that all are created equal, the rule appears to change to some are more equal than others. In Animal Farm, the pigs work less hard but get all the best food while the animals are starving. In America, the politicians just voted for a health care bill that will benefit the rich and leave 20 million more people without medical benefits. The new tax proposal will also benefit the rich while hurting the poor. The poor are told by the rich, giving more of their money, the benefit will trickle down to everyone else. But as a result of corruption and greed, the poor will never get the benefit. In both societies, the rich will get richer and the poor will struggle even harder.
What's your idea of a perfect society?
I believe that the ideal society would be one where everyone is considered equal. It would be a society of justice and fairness for all. Decisions would be made for the benefit of all.
Do you believe your ideal society will ever happen?
While it's nice to think a more perfect society could happen, I do not think it is realistic. In Animal Farm, the pigs had everyone believe they were going to make life better. While at first they had good intentions, with power they became corrupt. Their policies only benefited the pigs, and in society both in the Animal Farm and today, a lot has been said about helping the poor and disadvantaged. Yet it seems that in actuality, society only benefits the people on top that have wealth and power. Lord Acton once said, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." As long as this is true, and greed and corruption exist, we will never have a fair and just society.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
This has been The Late Show with Edward Lambert.
In conclusion, I rate this book a 10 out of 10 because of its connection to history and the fact that it is timeless and as relevant today as it was when it was written. Thank you for listening to my presentation.